online, if I put a post up online and someone comments, I only have the bandwidth for one comment to respond to them. Like, I don't want to keep going back and forth with someone.
Yeah.
You say something, I may respond. I'm done after one response. Like, I don't even want to go back and forth. I just don't care that much. I don't know.
I hear that it helps the algorithm. Like, if there's more engagement and if like they're like bump the post if they reply and you reply, do you think they have motivation in that way?
It's 100% true. I just do not care that much. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, I used to really be an algorithm bull. I used to really be like just on top of it. I don't care. I literally put the content out and I'll come back like an hour or two later, like, oh, so what do people think? Like, I don't really care like I used to.
That's I get that. There's times where like I don't post as much. I feel like between the two of us, but I take the same strategy. If I'll post something and then I'll come back like an hour later or so, like I'll do like a task and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. You put some sort of content out and now you have that there. Shout out to Dr. Ron, one of my professors at Kutztown. He's the king responding, and I'll be like, that's what's up. And then he hits it with another response. It's like, all right, we're 6 responses in.
Yeah.
Did a pretty sufficient job bumping this. I appreciate that, Dr. Ron.
I appreciate it. I'm just not, I don't, you know what I mean? I thank you for wanting to talk with me, but I just really don't be feeling like it.
Was this person blowing up your spot, or were they just being like, oh, Alan, I love this joke. Oh, I love this comment that you made under this joke. Oh, yes. What a wonderful engagement.
They weren't blowing up my spot, but I could tell they wanted to keep talking with me. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, I like it, share. I don't know, but I just don't want to go back and forth, be 7, 8 comments deep. I don't care for that right now in my life, you know?
Damn. What do you care about in life right now, Mr. Allen?
And these jokes, these kids, my girl, myself, podcasts.
Property Ebonics. Yeah, welcome Proper Ebonics, by the way.
Yeah, we're in the building, you know what I'm saying? We didn't get to say hello and good morning, but we're here, or good afternoon, good evening, whatever you're listening to this, good to that.
They know the regimen. If you've been listening to Proper Ebonics for the last 2-3 years, you know that it's a morning endeavor. Like, you know, this is morning energy that we provide on Proper Ebonics.
I don't think we could do a night recording thing like we use, like, because like I feel like nighttime is like, you're doing shows, I'm doing shows, we got stuff. Like, it's just life's going on. It's just too much to sit down at like 8 o'clock and be like, you know what I mean? Let's just do this.
I got asked to do a podcast like a month ago, and I was like, yeah, let's do it like on a Thursday. And then the Thursday came around, and they hit me up, and it's shout out to Dan Getz. It was a wonderful podcast sort of thing. But Dan hit me up, and I was like, yeah, it's at 9:30 p.m. I was like, what? Dan, I thought we were gonna aim for like 6. Like, I have the UFC 4 to play. I gotta take my sleep medication. So we're up until 11 o'clock going over cover songs from Madonna. It was fun, don't get me wrong. But I didn't. It's a lot of times you kind of have to embrace yourself a bit. We used to do those. Those were all our episodes. We'd drive to Harrisburg for like the first like 20 episodes that are not on record anymore. You can find these episodes off the feed. They could determine if that's a good or bad thing. And we would go there, record, and then I'd get back home around like 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's kind of wild that we did that.
Yes. I mean, we did it too. And then even we would go to my house. You know what I'm saying? We would meet at my house in town. Yeah, you know, but the pandemic happened, and then it just kind of made it easier to do stuff like this way. I mean, you know, for me, definitely, because I just...
Yeah, definitely for me. I literally did a back roll out of bed. No, that's not true. I've been up for the last 2 hours. I've been excited today.
I can tell you and Pat were texting like an hour ago. These guys are up. Look at this.
Yeah, I set my alarm for like 9 o'clock. Woke up at 8. No big deal. But did a lot of different things. Made a full-blown breakfast. Did a full-blown workout.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is a new Kirk. Oh
Yeah,
man,
man. New Kirk is here, man. I'm motivated because tonight is the Haim concert. I feel like I've told you about the Haim sisters before. And we had our guest Jackie on. Her and I discussed it on the episode. And the concert's tonight at the Mann Center, and I'm pretty excited. I don't go to concerts often, so it has to be a band that I really enjoy. And Haim happens to be one of those bands. So I'm pretty excited about it.
nice. Sounds like it's gonna be fun. I do remember you and Jackie talking about that. I've never heard of them and still haven't heard anything from them, but I do remember
Oh man.
you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be some songs there. Jackie, she's gonna be at the show. She may see me cry today. Jackie may see me cry tonight.
Is this like what kind of music do they make? Is it happy music or is just you just love them so much you're gonna cry?
That's the thing. It's a combination. It's very authentic music. That's what I'll say. It's like a alternative rock pop. I think that would be the one of the more accurate ways to describe it. But they have a few songs up there where it's like, oh man, nostalgic, and also the lyrics are pretty hard hitting. Like All I Ever Wanted. If All I Ever Wanted plays, I'm gonna have to look around real quick and I'm gonna have to drop some tears. I may have to go excuse myself. All I Ever Wanted plays.
You should sing a few chords so I can know what it sounds like.
I'm not gonna do that. You should come to the concert. You should. We had an extra ticket,
Yeah.
but it looks like that has been occupied.
Yeah.
By someone I don't know. So we'll see. Someone I don't know may see me tear up. We'll see.
You've been busy late. You've been busy recently. You said you went to a wedding recently too?
Oh man, bro. Shout out to Nathan, man. Nathan, one of my first friends. Know him since when I first moved to Pennsylvania, in Collegeville. And he got married to Amanda. She's great. They've actually been married for a year now, but they're having a post like a COVID precaution wedding. So they've been married for a year, and this is just a ceremony for it.
Yeah.
I was a groomsman. I got to walk his mom down for the reception. Oh my God, that was so nice. It was a groovy day, man. It was just filled with just like highlights. I have it over there. I'll maybe bring it over in a second. He painted Nathan, he's an artist, and he painted a portrait of all of the groomsmen from like photos from years ago. Man, speaking of almost tearing up, when I saw that, man, that was so nice.
I seen it on Instagram, or you posted it somewhere.
Yeah, I did post it on Instagram. I probably on both. Yeah.
Yeah,
it looks cool. I wish I brought it over. But yeah, it's really it was a nice gift, and the whole day was just a blast. Like you know how I get down. Or actually, you don't know how I get down because we haven't been to a wedding together. But when the music starts playing, there's only so much I can do before the rhythm takes over, and the rhythm took over on this day.
Are you the guy? Are you the guy that leads the electric slide?
Nope. I don't do well at choreographed dances. Maybe like sans like the Macarena. I'm okay with that. But when it comes to choreographed dances, it's just like, damn, my body wants to do other things to this beat, and I can't do the left, right thing. So I'm very much, I move like an animal out there. Like it's very like rhythmic. And honestly, I don't think about it. My body just does it. I incorporate a lot of martial arts dances. Did a lot of those, and let's just say this: I don't want to like hype myself up too much, but at the end of the night, people knew what was up. People that in the beginning of the day were like, "Oh, I don't want to shake hands because of COVID." We were hugging at the end of the night. So we did up Soul Train line, which was unexpected, but we got it popping.
I'm picturing the cha-cha slide being on, like slide to the left, and you're just like, no.
Close. No, I was a little more graceful. I just left the dance floor when that happens. I'm like, all right, you know what? They're gonna have their moment. That's fine. They're gonna play some Jennifer Lopez afterwards. I'm gonna get it popping for that one. So
like martial arts, like, are you like doing Wing Chun, like? Oh, when the music's playing, like, oh,
bro, I can't even like recap it in that sense. Like my body just be feeling it. Like, all right, you're moving around, you just break into a stance. I busted out at least 2 spinning back kicks. That was me wilding. I was wilding on that, but it felt right in the moment. And by the looks of awe in the people's eyes, it felt right for them too. So that's what I do. I did a little bit of some elbow moves. It was good,
bro. I'm dying right now. As the new generation, Gen Z, they'll look at you with a straight face and they'll be like, "I'm dying right now."
I know.
Like, that's me. Like I'm in tears right now. Like it's because I'm picturing like people just like having a good time at the wedding, and you just like doing bicycle kicks on the dance floor, like just like, who is this guy? He's amazing.
I did, bro, and I was wearing a suit too because I was a groomsman.
You got Kirk with some hard bottoms,
bro. That's exactly my red bottoms out. But at the end of the night, in a stride of confidence, as the music ended, the DJ was like giving shout outs, all that stuff, and I'm walking out because my ride is coming up. I put the sunglasses back on. It was one of those things where I was like, I'm feeling good about this. I feel like everyone else feeling good about it, but that doesn't really matter because I'm feeling good within me. So I rock sunglasses indoors at nighttime, man. So it was one of those nights.
Like, were you really drunk?
Not even. I mean, I was drinking.
Was it open bar?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you give tips and stuff. But yeah, I guess it is open bar. Yeah, it was cool. I had some wine, some bizzer. This thing when you dancing on the wedding floor, man, like you gotta take it easy with the burr because the burr will get you heavy. So you gotta like kind of switch it up. I'm not really a liquor person, but if you got like red wine, that's the optimal one that you're gonna get right there.
Red wine will do it to you. Next, you drink some red wine. Next thing you know, you got your shirt off. You know.
That was Nathan. Nathan had the shirt off at the end of the night. Nathan caught the rhythm at the end of the night.
I knew it. So he probably was drinking everything, though.
Nathan was just like whatever people handed to him. When we were like preparing beforehand his apartment, he just had the tank top and his pants on, and it was just like kind of like a joke, like, "Huh, wouldn't it be funny if you like came to the wedding and did your vows and that?" And it was like, "Ha ha ha!" And then at the end of the night, I guess like Amanda's uncle or dad, his wife now, started taking his shirt off, and he just let it happen. And then he was like that for the rest of the night, just like tank top with a nice pair of pants on.
Nice. That sounded like a great time, man.
Man.
Weddings are amazing. I don't think like there are people that don't like weddings, and I'm not that people. You know what I mean? Like, I think weddings are amazing. Like, once we get past the whole wedding, the after party is amazing, always.
Oh my gosh, it was even the preparation for it this time. Like, you know, some weddings they're like, all right, we're gonna do the whole ceremony, and then we're gonna wait 2 hours while they take photos, and you can't eat in the meantime.
Yeah,
that could be miserable. That could be. Yeah. That wasn't the case of this one. So shouts to them for that. But I've been at some weddings where it's like, all right, well, we're kind of starving. We were out in the sun for a while. We're wet because it was raining. So
you ever been to a Catholic wedding?
Not that I'm aware. I guess I don't know if they promoted it that way, but I'm
gonna tell you.
What do they do?
If you have, I went to one time. It was like me and my date were like the only Black people there, and we're at this Catholic church, and they kept making us fucking like stand up and sit down, stand up and sit down. Gosh. I was like, I didn't come here to work out. Like, what are we doing? Like, my thighs are burning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice little pro tip. If you want to get a honey dip and you see someone that has like, you know, like a nice firm bottom and thighs, good chance they're Catholic. Catholics be working out whenever they go to the Sunday services and the wedding. So like that could be a plus. I
had no idea. I walked in, I was like, yo, like, why are we doing like what? I ain't gonna lie. At one point, I just sat there. I was like, I'm done getting. I don't. Yeah. Where's the?
You didn't stand back up.
No, people were like sitting up, standing down. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
They think you're protesting God.
They would probably be right because that's my truth. Now listen to something I've said before. Okay. I'll ask you this question before I say it. This your first time being a groomsman?
No.
Damn. I was kind of hoping it was because I was saying, like, I feel like, you and your friends ain't shit if you have never been a groomsman.
Yeah. No, well, luckily I could say I feel like I am shit with my friends. I think I've been like 2 or 3 times I've been a groomsman and a ring boy one time for my aunt's wedding when I was very young. I dropped the ring. They wanted me to hold the Bible in the ring. It's like, all right, guys, come on. It's the distribution of weight. Like it was an adorable moment. I was young. But yeah, no, I've been a groomsman. Have you been a groomsman?
No.
Damn.
I have never, ever had the pleasure of being like my friends. I don't have any friends that I'm close with like that are married. Like all my friends are just like with their chicks or single. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never. I've been to plenty of weddings, but I just haven't been in that upper echelon of friendness with someone to, you know.
You were going to be the DJ at my wedding, the one that I was going to have. Not the official DJ, but you were going to be the host. So the plan was, we didn't go that far into like the planning part for for obvious reasons. But like, sorry. But it would be a matter of like, all right, so we're gonna possibly have stand-up comedy at the show. Like during that little side part where it's like you have to wait for the meals or whatever, we are thinking maybe putting it there. So it was gonna be like Glenn Tickle is gonna perform, someone else, and you were going to be the host. Like you were going to be like, I had it like picture where it's going to be like flyers.
Yeah.
Like you get for like when you get like for a lot of block shows where it's like like everyone's faces and it's like too blessed to be stressed. Like it's like it's going to be like it was going to be my ex fiance and her parents on the side like, and it was just be a large photo of you. I thought it was this hysterical thing, but you came very close to being adjacent to groomsmen.
You ruined my dreams, Kirk.
Damn. If I end up getting married, man, it's you're definitely into consideration. Definitely into consideration. I don't know what life's gonna take me. I have no idea where I'm gonna end up. But
the only weddings I've ever actually been in, it just sounds crazy when I think about it, are my mom's. Like I've never I've been my mom's ring bearer, which is kind of strange, but like
that sounds cute.
I've never been like in my homie's wedding. Like I never did that.
But none of your homies don't really get married like that though. Like I feel like if you have friends that if they got married, you'd be the groomsman.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying though. But like my friends ain't shit because they ain't pulling the trigger. They not pulling the trigger. They not proposing. They just chilling, living lives. You know what I'm saying? They not taking that step. You know,
like, guys, you gotta make this huge life choice because I rented a nice suit and it's about time that I be a groomsman.
Life choices. Life's about choices.
Yeah, man.
One of our comedy brethren apparently made a comedy choice that some people had they were not happy with. John Mulaney. John Mulaney had a surprise guest at one of his shows recently, and that surprise in Ohio. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. His surprise guest, another Ohioan, Dave Chappelle came out.
David Chappelle.
The surprise set, and he told some off-color transgender jokes like he has been known to do recently.
Yeah,
and a lot of people were not happy that they paid money to, and Dave Chappelle came up and was saying these jokes, you know?
Yeah, that's I heard about that because he opened for Mulaney, which is an interesting dynamic. He opened for Mulaney, did some jokes, and from some of the reports, and by reports, it's people reporting what some people wrote on Twitter. Some weren't too pleased that Chappelle was there. And I guess he did, as he often does now, is to kind of tackle the idea of trans rights and transphobia, and just his interaction with that. I don't know exact jokes because there was no like snippets or anything like that.
I heard one. People were saying the one joke, and he said that he was talking about his attack. The guy that attacked him at the Hollywood Bowl.
That's right.
He said the guy attacked him. What do you say? He attacked him with a knife that identified as a gun. So like,
it's a funny joke. That's a funny joke.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was funny. I was like, you seen the picture of the gun knife thing, and I thought it was funny. You know,
that's like a very like almost absurd joke. And it's also like that did happen to him. Like someone did try to stab him with an instrument that looked like a gun. Yeah. So that's, again, I wasn't there. I feel for the people in the sense, because if you do feel that strongly on that topic and you feel that adverse against Dave Chappelle, and then out of nowhere you're paying like what $50 up to $100 to see Mulaney, who's a different type of comic, and Chappelle shows up. I guess it's a part of the show, though. It's like you that can happen. Like you don't know like when someone's going to show up to something. And it's not like he was the main person, but I do understand why that would be annoying for people that aren't fans of him. Yeah,
that's what I always say, and I even said it when Chappelle's special came out. If you don't like what Chappelle says, don't support him. Don't watch his Netflix. Don't go to his shows. But if he just pops up, like, what do? You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah,
I'd be so mad if someone who imagine going to Haim concert, and the surprise guest was R. Kelly. Like, what would you do? Like, would you be like, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder. The question that comes to mind is like, how would I view Haim? Like, say if it was an artist that I was like, oh man, I feel completely uncomfortable with the type of stuff that they say. They say a lot of stuff about. They're just things that I don't like. They're anti-pogo stick. and I hate that. And they go up there.
Library.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If that was the case with R. Kelly, then good. Lock him up. No, sorry. But yeah, if that were the case, I'm like, oh, what would be my take on the band that I did pay for? And that's the case for many where they're criticizing Mulaney, because it's like, we came to see you, you're artists that we trust and enjoy, and you elected to have this person that we don't trust and enjoy open for you, and that ruined the mood for us. Are they justified in seeking a refund?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Did you see John Mulaney or not? I wouldn't. Like, if John didn't come out and you only saw Chappelle, then maybe, yeah. But like, you have every right to be upset, but I don't think you should get a refund. Like, especially for like John Mulaney went out there, performed for you like you wanted him to. I don't know. This is the first. I never thought about should they get a refund, but I'm thinking about it, and I just don't think so. Like, I don't. You know what I mean? Like, there's shows, there's movies you'll go see that you're not happy with the movie. You don't get a refund. You know what I mean? Like,
that's not true. I've gotten a refund on a movie.
See, I didn't know.
So that's the thing. And I was going to say too, like, if Chappelle went up and they were to leave and request a refund there, I think that would have been justified. If they're like, oh, this is not what we paid for, this is not where we don't feel safe or whatever, then I think that's fine. Even if you agree or don't agree with it, I think that part is okay. If you sat for the whole show, that's like going to the restaurant, eating the whole meal and being like, can I get a refund on this? Right. Movies, I've done that like the first quarter of it, not the end, where it's like, I'm not in the mood to watch a movie. And I leave and they give me a refund. I've only done it like once or twice.
I didn't know that was a thing.
You have to kind of like smooth your way out of it, sort of thing. Like, listen, I forgot what reason I gave before. It wasn't like, hey, I don't enjoy this movie. I think it was something along the lines of, this is not what I thought, and turns out I have to leave. I'm sorry, can I get like a refund and just come back at a later time? Sometimes that works.
I can see that's like calling out for work. You know what I mean? But my grandma died. The movie theater, like, Kirk, your grandma died again. You want another refund, Kirk? It's ridiculous.
This is your 18th grandmother. How far is your lineage, and what's happening in your family?
It's crazy. No, listen, man. I never, like you said, I feel like if you sat through the whole thing, I don't think you should get a refund.
Yeah,
you have every right to be upset. But again, though, how do you? This what I want to. The part I want to tackle. How should they view John Mulaney now? Like, is he? Because I see people saying like he was an ally. Now he's not an ally of our movement. It's just kind of like, is that what that means though? Is that?
I'm not too sure. I don't know what if John Mulaney talked about afterwards. I know the big thing that the people that are upset about it, they noted that John Mulaney came out and hugged him afterwards. And how I feel about it, I think Chappelle, he's one of my favorites. I think he tackles that issue a lot as a challenge for himself, because that's one of the first things that he has really gotten pushback on from a general audience. And maybe he's trying to find a way to maneuver around it, or maybe it's like an ego thing where it's like, this is something where I feel that I'm right and I want to exercise the right to express it. But people give pushback on it. In terms of like how Mulaney feels about it, I don't know, because that's not really his wheelhouse or his type of like topic that he touches on. I think it's an interesting dynamic, the two of them. I think that's kind of a cool thing. And I think most people there were, from the reports, like happy about it. That's a good question. I think if you're not a fan of that type of material and you don't like Dave Chappelle, and you see Mulaney embracing him after things said that you maybe don't respect, that may shift your view on Mulaney a little bit, and you may have hesitations of getting another ticket at a show. Probably. It's not going to be the end of the world for him, I don't think, but I can imagine that being the case.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about it from my perspective. Like, if there was like a racist comedian, and Chris Rock brought him out and hugged him on stage, like, I'm not gonna lie, I would think less of a comedian that done that. But will I would not fuck with them.
Depends on the comic.
It depends on a whole bunch of things. Yeah. I'm not trans, so I don't know how I see how they feel about Chappelle, but I don't know how that really makes them feel like to their core. Like, is this enough for them to no longer like John Mulaney? That's understandable. You know what I'm saying? I get that because it's Dave Chappelle has, we all know what he's done. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like,
Hello.
I don't know.
We all know what you did.
We all know that he got a beef with the transgenders, and he, like I say, I think the two things you said were accurate. It's ego and it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that's what it is. Like at this point, he can't. He probably feels like if he stops telling jokes about it, they won.
Mm.
And we're all comedians. We all have a little ego. We all are a little narcissistic. We want to win. You know what I mean?
Especially at his level. I don't even know if maybe he does see it as that, like they win or like I lose, which would be unfortunate if it was down to that, if it was like the me versus them, because then that's when it's really like, oh man, you guys are really going at it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the people that are criticizing, and not say this is even wrong, but a lot of them aren't necessarily in the community in that way. I think a lot of them kind of register as allies and maybe felt offended on behalf of people in the community.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. But your point of wanting to hear someone that identifies as trans and hearing what they feel about it, that I'm interested in that as well. Versus kind of, for lack of better words, bystanders versus people that are like in it. And it's almost like when you see, we've seen this before, of like you'll have like white women defend black rights, and then it's like, but that wasn't really that bothersome. Like it's like the black person, it's just like, oh, that wasn't that crazy.
Yeah.
You just have a certain idea of what's offensive to the group as someone that identifies an ally or a bystander.
Yeah, I was getting my I was learning what was happening from Twitter from people in the community. So like it was plenty of people that were like tweeting like, hey, I'm trans. I was just at this show. I would have talked about it during the show, but I had my phone locked up. And this is how I remember it. This is how I was feeling. And I read a few of those I was like I mean, like it's like I said, I'd say it. If you don't support him, don't support him. But if he just shows up, like
he just shows up at Dairy Queen sort of thing, it's just like starts doing a bit at your favorite ice cream shop, then it becomes kind of like well, I follow the rule. I didn't support something I didn't like.
And you're just in line, and all you hear is this ice cream identifies as frozen yogurt. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, is that Chappelle?
How polarizing is Chappelle? Like when we look back 50 years from now, will we see like I feel like it's hard to kind of remove ourselves a bit, especially because we do comedy and all that stuff, and we're fans of Chappelle, and Mulaney for that matter. And I'm curious what that'll look like 50 years from now. Like, oh yeah, Chappelle, he became super polarizing towards the end of his career, like in the midst of his career, due to this one topic that he wouldn't stop talking about. And is it going to be seen as more along the lines of like Lenny Bruce, where it's like, oh, well, he dared to speak sort of thing? Or will it be seen as like, you get a lot of these comics who like, what's the dude's name? Is it Jerry Lewis? Lewis that like came out and starts saying all this like wild stuff about women like later in his career, where it's like, why do you do that sort of thing? What will this be viewed as 20, 30, 50 years from now?
I'm gonna tell you. So I watched the Carlin documentary. Did you watch the Carlin documentary?
I keep hearing about it. I haven't bootlegged HBO Max since the person I was dating no longer dates me.
No, I go look. I use my girl's HBO Max, so I feel you. Yeah, but look, the Colin documentary, what I learned what like is he went through. They said he went through like 4 or 5 different transformations. You know what I mean? Like he was one person turned to another person, just kept evolving. Some was good, some was bad. So I think it's the same thing with Chappelle. Like Chappelle's been famous for a long time, and we've seen him go through his different phases. I hope this is just one of those phases where he'll one day, dead ass, this is what I wish he would do. I hope he one day just apologizes and be like, yo, I was wrong. I didn't see it a certain way. You know what I mean? And then move on. Because it ain't over until it's over. You know what I'm saying? So like, if he's still alive, he has ample opportunity to change the narrative. Like, you don't got to go out like this. It could just be it could be a part of your history, but you ain't got to go out like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I guess it depends on how, if he actually feels that way down the road. Like I'm never a fan of the idea of someone apologizing for the sake of for the sake of favorability in the public eye, versus them actually being like, oh yeah, I reflect on it a few years later and my bad, sort of thing. That's when it's like, oh, okay, I hear that. But we're so filled with so many like insincere apologies that I hope that isn't the route. Although it's a rough one. When I prompt that question of 50 years from now, I also suggested for myself in a way of like, how will I view this situation and a bunch of other situations, but this situation in particular 50 years from now, as someone that like right now is a fan of Chappelle, has respected him for most of my life, sort of thing, like growing up, and still watches his comedy. How will I view this 50 years from now, where it's like, oh, will I look back and like with regret or shame that I was openly a Chappelle fan? Will I see it as, oh, well, we were going through a phase in life where it was a lot of outrage over things that maybe shouldn't have been as much outrage? Yeah. I don't know. I sometimes I don't fully know how I feel about it right now. So 50 years from now, with reflection, it would be interesting.
Yeah, I think that if I don't want him to apologize just for the sake of apologizing. I don't want that. I want him to genuinely see if he thinks he did something wrong, and if he sees he did something wrong, to apologize for that and move on. I think you can do that. I've done that a million times, dog. Like, I was the worst person yesterday. Like, every day I'm getting better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm getting better every day. So like, I don't know if you remember this. Like, I was doing a little homeless douche signs. I made a sign years ago, and I said, "Ladies." That's how I know I was wrong. Like,
ladies.
I started it with ladies. I knew I was going down a dark path. I said, "Ladies, no man cares about the length of your eyelashes." Right?
Okay.
That was it. Like, when I posted it, I was like, I genuinely don't give a fuck how long the eyelashes are. Like, but apparently what happens is women, and they were right. I stood on this. I even reposted this for years. Like, I stood on this sign. You know what I mean?
I think I remember that.
The women were like, dog, honestly, we don't care that you care or not. Like, we're not doing it for you. Like, so your sign is literally pointless because you're making it seem as if we're doing it for you guys.
Right, doing it for men. It's like the makeup idea. Like,
right,
we're doing makeup for ourselves more so than we're doing it to whether obtain or attract male attention.
Right, and for the longest time, I mean, for a very long time, I would be like, I hear that. I'm just telling you that I like, even if it's makeup, I just don't care. And they're just like, but you saying that makes it, you know what I mean? So I'm like, and it took a while for me. And I was just like, I get it. Like, I get it. And I even made a whole new sign apologizing. Like, like the sign was like, fellas. I was like, fellas, no woman cares that we don't care about their eyelashes. You know what I mean?
Evolution of Alan. That's
it took me years. Like, I'm telling you, I was reposting this sign. I was arguing with people in the comments. You know, I don't like talking in the comments. I was going back and forth in the comments, but I understood. I was like, I get it. Like, I get it. Me saying that you're doing something because, or me saying that I don't care about what you're doing makes it seem as if you're doing it because for me. And I was, but then I was still like, yeah, but I just don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
You know, I think it's the good part of this is that you didn't fake an apology. Like, though you like kind of doubled up on it at that time and like went back and forth in comments, that's how you were genuinely feeling.
Right.
So, and then years later, with time, you didn't force it on yourself and you didn't try to like do anything to appease other people or just favorability amongst public. you did that amongst yourself, and like whether you're speaking with like a girl or just like people in general, or just like life happens and you recognize like, oh, this is something I don't agree with anymore for myself. I think that's totally fine.
That can happen with Chappelle. I think that can, like, it ain't got to be today. I'm just like, years from now, he may be like, all right, I may have been a little wrong because nobody's right all the time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Well, I know Mulaney came out and was like, I think he was just like, I don't care. He was completely like, I have a lot of things going on. I don't care. We're not going to remember this a month from now. Please leave me be.
That is the most awesome response. Because honestly, I haven't seen anything about it since. It was a week ago. Nobody's talked about it since. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Out of curiosity, did you watch Louis C.K.'s new special?
The one he won a Grammy for?
He won like an Emmy or something like that, or maybe it was. Yeah, I think it was a Grammy actually. He won a Grammy for the one he came out like a year ago, and then he came out with a new one like this year called Sorry.
Yeah. So are you talking about Sorry?
Yeah.
Yes, I did see Sorry. I did.
Oh, what do you think?
I enjoyed it. I don't like. I think he was dropping the F-bomb in that genre.
He did. Yeah, especially towards the end.
I just wish people didn't do it. Like I don't feel like you need to do it.
Yeah.
So
that was his whole thing. Like before his whole situation, like he kind of almost had a license in a way. Like he was like N-word, F-bomb, all that stuff. And it was kind of like a license in a way of like a comedic license. And then I feel like, because I did notice that too. One, I enjoyed the special. The way he opened it, very funny. The reverse cowgirl joke, very, very funny. It was good. But then towards the end of that, especially in the content of it, the context, I wasn't crazy about it. And it feels like before, if he were to say an N-word, he'd be like, oh yeah, it's Louis. I don't think he would be able to get away with saying it now.
It should never have been. That's probably my one comedy rule. You know what I mean? If you aren't that, don't say the word. Like you don't have to you can dance around it without saying it, bro. You know what I mean?
This whole thing, he said it like a lot. He was well, you saw that the Talking Funny special he did with Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld, and Ricky Gervais.
I hated it.
And then Chris Rock was like, oh, he has the license to say it, sort of thing. And while I don't necessarily agree with that, I think at that time he was right. Like I definitely did not bat an eye as much. Like it was notable whenever he did, but it wasn't like that visceral reaction of like anger that I would typically feel. I didn't feel that with him because I felt like he did have a license in a way that I can't necessarily explain. And then post this situation, I think maybe because it maybe feels a little bit more like walking on thinner ice. I picture now, I was like, oh, what would happen if he said it in this one? I mean, I don't know what kind of sort of context he'd put around it, but I imagine it wouldn't go over as smoothly.
I think when I first seen I didn't watch the thing with Chris Rock, Seinfeld, and Louis. I didn't watch the actual thing, but the first time I seen a clip from it a while ago, first time I seen that clip, I was upset. I wasn't like upset, like, oh my God. I was like, this is corny. Like, why are you? And then Chris Rock sitting in there condoning it. I was like, no, this is a no for me, dog. Like, I don't care who you are. If you white, you don't say the N-word. If you're straight, if you're not part of the LGBT community, you don't say the F-word or whatever. Like, this is what it is, man. Like, Magooby's Joke House in Baltimore. They don't. They have one rule when you perform. You can say anything you want. You can talk about anything you want. The rule is if you ain't black, don't say the N-word. And if you're not part of the LGBT community, don't say the F-word. That's just a rule. Like, and then if you do, you won't perform there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I wonder how many people break that rule and how many people break it and how many times the audience is with it. Because I feel like that's one of those things where if you do it and it gets a favorable reaction, they're not going to hold it against you. Like if Bill Burr is up there and he drops like an F-bomb, they're not going to hold it against him. And it's because there's that license there. There's a few components, I feel, whether it be like status or your history or maybe like groups that you're popular in, where there is a culmination of reasons where it's like, oh, it makes sense or it's okay. Not saying that it is okay, but it's seen as less bad. It is interesting that I I'm trying to break down like what reasons it was before, and not necessarily
Nah.
now, but like I think like especially like in those old specials, even like down to like some of the other, not just Louis C.K., like other comics too. Like that was, whether it be like the drop in the R word, whatever. That was something that was like used a lot. Patrice O'Neill. And what makes up those license? Like what makes up those components where it doesn't feel hateful? It doesn't feel like a matter of hate. It feels like a reflection of what's happening.
None of that matters to me, Kirk.
Mm.
None of that matters to me. I don't care what's happening. I'm not going on stage saying the F word.
Right.
I don't see the benefit of it. The only benefit is you think you get to say the words, and now you enjoy saying the word. I can't find a way where you're just like, I need to say this.
Yeah.
When Patrice O'Neill was saying the R word, it wasn't as we weren't as politically correct of a society. So I'm saying that's why that was acceptable. You know what I'm saying? If Patrice was allowed today, if he was allowed today, he would not be just dropping R words and F word all over the place. He wouldn't.
If you even notice, like Neil Brennan, you don't really hear him say the N word anymore. Neil Brennan, like 2014, like in a stand-up special on the podcast, and it's not like saying like, oh, I can't believe Neil Brennan sort of thing, but I do think, to your point, it is a shift in what society has become, for good or bad sort of thing, where we're a little bit more maybe not cautious but reflective of how that may impact certain people, and people are trying to improve themselves too. So yeah, I think that may be one of the big components, which is surprising too, of like him going with dropping F-bombs on this one, especially how he used it. It was kind of like,
you know what he's doing. You know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? He won an Emmy. He won an award for whatever.
Yeah, I think it was for the special before this, because I think he dropped 2.
I don't know. All I know is whenever he did it, I'm saying this last special he dropped the F-bomb, like that's literally one of the main things I remember from it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth.
Good on you, man, because you said the same for Kendrick too.
Yeah.
And
listen, I rock with Kendrick Lamar. Louis C.K., he has done bad things too. But as a comedian, I enjoy his jokes. But I also understand when people are wrong. I don't feel like you got to do it. You can make your point. You know how smart you are when you can make your point without using the word? You know what I mean? To not, like, to use the word, it just shows, like, for me, it's like an easy way out. Laziness. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, like, I don't know.
It's like it's some people use it to evoke strong emotion of like, oh wow, that's out there now, and maybe they're talking about the idea of the strong emotion around. We're not saying that justifies it, but I feel like a lot of times that is the case. But I also feel, to your other point of like people, whether they somehow get that license, that's when they'll start using it with a trigger happy. Like there's a few comics where it's like, oh wow, you're really using that a lot.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just like, it's, you recognize like, oh, I'm not really too crazy about that. I may like some of your jokes, but it's like, that's one part of it that I'm not as crazy about.
I said it before at the beginning. I don't even know if I said it on this podcast, but I said it before when cancel culture started ramping up. Like, and I said it, you're either going to get people that abide by these rules or just like, oh, cancel culture, I'm going to show y'all, and just go 10 times harder.
Yeah. There's I think you and I are probably in the majority that are in between. We just hear the most from people that are on the extreme sides of it. But I still hold that point that most people are sane. Most people are sane, and most people are reasonable and use logic. Emotions still take a part. But we just don't hear from those people as much because maybe they don't feel that, oh, I don't need to voice every single thought with such strong conviction.
Yeah.
So I do feel that, though, that most people are in the middle. There is a medium.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, the medium people don't talk as much as the people on the far ends.
Because it's like, what are we yelling about? It's like, oh, yeah, maybe. Like, it's like, that's really the only, like,
I don't know.
Yeah, man, it's conviction that draws the most ears, sort of thing. And no one really wants to, whether no one really wants to speak about the average, or no one really wants to like hear the average as much. I enjoy it though. I enjoy when someone's like, yeah, I don't know. It to me it speaks authenticity, and authenticity. Boy, does that resonate.
I feel like we were being very authentic during this episode too, because there's a lot of things like I don't know. Like I just don't know, man. Like I don't know.
That's I'm gonna start using that in every situation. You're like, oh, I'm being super authentic. Like, oh, Kirk, can you have this in by 11 o'clock? Me not know. Kirk, why are you doing the accent? You cannot know. You don't have to do the accent. Me not know that either. I've been working on my patois.
I like it.
I plan on doing some next podcast that we do. It's going to be strictly patois Kirk. Patois Kirk is a whole different monster.
Is we gotta have, if we're gonna do that, our guest has to be Chet Hanks.
Chet Hanks and our Uncle Rufus. We'll get someone that can speak patois.
Wait. Did you? I don't know. I don't think you've seen this, but Chet Hanks said he is responsible for making patois known. Like he brought.
That's ridiculous. That's an audacious thing to say. I don't mind Chet Hanks. I think he's humorous. But that's a wild thing to say. That's a bold accusation.
He said, me brought it to the mainstream.
Oh my God, I'm offended by that. that's when it's like, all right, well now I think it's one thing to be like, oh, you're a guest into this, you're embracing a different culture.
Yeah.
Cool, very cool. But then when you start taking leadership and ownership of it, it's like, all right, don't do that. At least for me, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And that's his wave that he's on. Apparently,
that is what the white man does. They try to take credit, like, oh, we discovered America. No, this been speaking patois in America. No, yeah, man, America. I didn't really want to like.
I don't want to talk about this either.
Talk about it in the
I didn't want to talk about it. I saw it. I was on the list. And I was like, ugh.
You made the list.
I know. Shout out to Chris Jericho. Yeah, no, I made the list. We got another one of another mass shooting. This one, unfortunately, in an elementary school in, and correct me if I'm mispronouncing, Uvalde,
like
Uvalde, Texas, and there was a shooting there of, and it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad, and the thing that so my takeaways from it is that I resent the fact that upon hearing the story and some of the updates throughout the week, it feels like I'm a little numb to it. Like I compare it to when I first heard about Sandy Hook. I remember I was working at Run by Foot Locker. Someone called my manager, and I heard him over the phone say, "Holy shit." And then it was like, we found out what happened. And it was this crazy thing where it's like, I was a few hours away, but it was just like, there's like the omnipresence of unsafeness and unease that came with it. Fast forward to now, I heard that news and I was like, oh, it's more of like a standard. I don't want to say I'm completely like emotionally detached from it, because that's not the case, but you almost grow like an unfortunate callous to it. And that was a takeaway that it was a bit concerning, not to mention just everything that goes on top of gun laws and how people are going back and forth and making it much more political, which maybe in this case, it probably could be a good case to make this a political one regarding gun rights. But yeah, it's obviously unfortunate, man. And it's crazy how often this is happening.
Yeah, man. I think this was the first one that like it's sad that so many people lost their lives, lost their loved ones, just a crazy situation. This was the first one that I don't care about the updates. Like I keep all these new stories keep coming out. The cops did this and this was going on with the killer. I don't really care. Like I feel like, how do I say this? Like I feel like people want to be the first one to break a certain part of that news, or
Yeah.
people are like, this is what I found out. It's just kind of like so many people lost their lives, bro. Like, I don't know. I had to like get offline that day. Like I don't want to like I can't like they're like my daughter's 10.
Yeah, your father.
My daughter's 10, you know? So it's like she'll get on YouTube and she'll see like a news clip. This many people died in school shooting, and she'll say to me like that's crazy. Like, what happens if it comes to my school? Like, what do I say? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. This one was I think this one affected me more emotionally. Like before, I felt like I don't know what I even felt before, honestly. But I know how I felt with this one. It was kind of like I don't want to read updates. Like I don't want to find any new news that's going to make me more mad or make me more sad, or like I don't know, man. It's just like
It's a lot to take in,
yeah, it's like
especially as a father, I'd imagine.
yeah, man. Like I got a daughter in middle school, I got a daughter in elementary school, and I dropped them both off to school the next day. You know what I mean? It's just like there's so many questions. Like in order to get in any school in America, right, you have to get buzzed in through the front door. You know that?
I remember it, but I don't know it from my own experience.
So like when I had a job and I was selling produce, right? One of my biggest customers were school districts because they serve a lot of fruit to a lot of people every day.
Yeah.
So I would go to schools for meetings all the time. And like you can't get into schools unless you buzz in through the front door at the bell. You go in, you sign your name. So when I heard that happened, my first thought be like, you know what I mean, like high school, things like that. But like an elementary school, like how do you get in?
Yeah,
You
apparently
think the guy went through like the back door or something?
I'm sure. I think that I heard something about like a propped open door, which I don't know the logistics of it. Apparently he had this planned out for a while. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, how do you get in? And
Prop. This is why you don't prop doors open. You know what I mean? Like why you got the back door prop? I know you're not
and that's
thinking that something like this is going to happen,
right.
but
That's
this
where
is
we're at
why.
now, where it's like you got to take precautions and not have that open. Man, it's crazy. Like the updates that I have heard of just like the length of it being like a standoff situation, and the individual buying the gun like right as he turned 18, sort of thing, where you think like that would raise like a red flag of like
He bought two. He bought two
yeah,
guns days apart, hundreds rounds of ammunition. No one is like no one has to tell anyone about that. You know what I mean? That you in America you could just go buy a gun, and that's just the end of it.
yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Of like, there's a suggestion of we penalize, like, you know how they do for drug dealers, like if someone ODs, and it's like you penalize a drug dealer if someone ODs. It's like, oh, let's do that for gun shops. The thing with gun shops is that the law is on their side of that you don't really have to, at least to my knowledge, you don't have to do those extra steps. And I'm curious what sort of steps that this individual had to take with getting this straight up assault rifles, two of them. I remember when I was just getting like I got dip when I was 18 at Wawa, and like they looked at the ID and they're like, oh, like they made kind of a deal of it.
Yeah.
I still got the dip sort of thing, but I'm curious what sort of measures are taken, because you would think just internally, just with everything going on, of like, oh, someone just turned 18, they're buying assault rifles. Internally, you would think that would like raise some sort of alarm. And maybe it did, but maybe the seller was like, well, what do I do? There's nothing in place for me to stop this
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly legal. I
Yeah.
can tell you from experience, when you go buy a gun, the only thing they ask you for is your debit card. Okay?
Really?
You don't even need a license to carry a gun to buy a gun.
Really? Oh, that's wild.
Anybody can buy a gun if you're over 18. Period.
Yeah, the NR,
Felons are not allowed to carry guns, right?
yeah.
but felons can buy them because there's no checks and balances at the gun shop. Anybody can go there. Oh, you're 18? Swipe your card here. That's it.
I'm curious on the side of, because it's mainly on the, if not all on the kind of Republican side of it, that are giving pushback for stricter gun laws. And I'm curious what some of the logic is. I haven't really done as much digging. I don't think it's going to be something that I'm going to leave after reading being like, oh yeah, that's justifiable. But what is the logic? Is it a matter of like, oh, well, we use AR, we use like these assault rifles for competitions. I can't imagine it's for hunting. Like the purpose of those is to be able to get as many people as possible.
Yeah, you can't shoot a deer with that and then go have some venison. No, it's all over the forest. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm curious what the logic is behind even just like, oh, let's make it much stricter for that in general, not just for assault rifles. Assault rifles for me is someone that's a non-gun user. I do karate. As someone that's not a gun user, it's like, why are we selling these? That's like we're selling tanks, using these tanks. It's if like someone's buying a tank, they're up to no good. Or they
Rick Ross bought a tank like 2 weeks ago, actually. No lie.
That's what's up. Hey, maybe not what's up, but I imagine if it's just for art, that's kind of cool. Yeah, maybe the tank's not a good example because tanks are kind of cool. But if you're,
they should. I'm not gonna lie. You shouldn't be able to buy a tank. You should not be able to buy a tank. Why do you have a tank? Who? What?
I wonder how much of it is like. I don't know what's going on in the rich community where like are like AR-15s. Are they like a thing that people enjoy doing that we're just completely unfamiliar with, and because the rich like it so much, and because associations with the NRA or whatever, it's like, oh no, we want to continue sales of these.
No, man, there's nothing like rich people buy a car, buy a swimming pool. Like what? There's no use to have an AK, AR-15. There's no reason to have it. People are like, I want to protect my home. Who you think you protecting your home from? Taliban? Like, what do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have nobody. You don't that gun. You do not need. No one. It's not a hunting weapon. It's legit a slaughter, maul tens and hundreds of people weapon.
Yeah. We can maybe break into goals real quick. It's related to this. Let's get some goals going. My goal for this one is to look into the matter. And I'm very curious of like what people on the right are maybe more so pro-gun. What is some of the reasons and logic behind not pushing forward with stricter gun rights and not stricter gun rights, but stricter like gun laws? Because I don't know. I feel like I hear from people that I agree with a lot, and I agree with them, but I don't know the talking points or the logic, and I find myself curious.
I think it's money. Like I don't understand it, but the NRA just be donating tens of millions of dollars to these politicians.
They're one of the bigger like lobbying groups.
Yeah, I think they donated like that's how I read. They donated like $11 million just to one dude. It's like they just donating millions and millions and millions. So it's just kind of like people that's power hungry. They're like, okay, well, you're gonna pay me. I'll say whatever you need to say, do whatever I need to do, so I can get in power. And it's just power hungry shit. I
don't think people really care about human life. When you're on that level, I don't think that's something. Maybe not don't care, but it's definitely not a prioritization. So if things like that are happening, but you're still able to make money, like I'm not saying anything new, but I think that is a part of it where you're just removed from it, and maybe at that point you feel numb to it of like, oh yeah, that happens, and you find ways to justify it. But I will look into it as part of my goal.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. It's just crazy, man. I read a thing that said Japan, they don't have any mass shootings. And I've seen that in order to buy a gun, now, first of all, I'm pretty sure AKs and AR-15s are illegal, period. There, you can't buy them. But just when you're buying like a regular handgun, you have to go through background check. You got to go through a mental wellness check.
Yeah.
You got to you have to take a test where you have to get like a 95% on this test. You got to do like a shooting test, whereas like we're not just selling anybody a gun. It's just like, you know what I mean?
No.
Like there's like a bunch of steps before you can buy a gun. I think that in America, until that they get rid of these assault rifles and have multiple steps to buy guns, like it's tougher to get a rental car than it is to buy a gun. Like you got to be 25 and have down payment and all this insurance.
Yeah.
You have for an American, you just get a gun. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's just
You would think there'd be a way to like monopolize off background checks. Like if so many people are wanting a gun sort of thing, that you'd be able to make it even like a, who knows, maybe that'd be a determinant. Like it feels like there's background checks and they're pricey, then less people are going to buy. Yeah, I legitimately have to look into it because I don't know.
yeah. My goal just gonna be to try to stay well. You know,
Hmm.
I'm just gonna, try to like I've been not trying to read a lot online. Like
Not trying to
more,
read online.
do more reading in real life, like books,
Okay. Nice,
you
nice,
know,
nice.
than like read like so much online because it can fuck with you, and like trying to like tell jokes right after, like I hate when people have uncooked jokes.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Just put something out there.
yeah, it's like you don't have to have a joke about this shooting, this tragedy. If it's not like genuinely top tier funny, like you don't have to put that Instagram reel up. You can save it. You know what I mean? You don't
That's
gotta go.
always been my issue with comedy in general. Online comedy. It's just very much like even down to the Will Smith thing, where it's just like, oh, everyone's like so quick to like put a thing out. And it just feels like we're all trying very hard. It's just like it's like, all right, that's but I get it. I get it too though. Like that's you want to be able if that's your nature to produce, then that's a part of it.
I want to do that. I want to be. I'm telling you now. Here's a real goal. I want to put on Instagram more stand-up comedy reels. I want to do that, but I don't want to sacrifice my A1 material just dropping it online. So what I want to do is I want to do those topical stuff. Like when Will Smith and Oscar thing happened, I want to be able to put out a minute reel online about it.
Yeah.
That's cool, but that could be undercooked too. Like, but it's just a Will Smith, whatever.
It's topical. I think most topical things, you only have a certain amount of being able to cook it. Like you only have a certain amount of time to really cook it there because it's
Yeah.
topical.
Right. So like my Will Smith joke, I wouldn't drop that reel now. Like I might have it in my phone, but I wouldn't drop it now. I should drop it 3 weeks ago. But what I'm saying is, if it's gonna be undercooked, make sure it's not one of these sensitive ass topics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, don't come over. Like I've heard it's two in my head that I've seen yesterday. I won't say who the comedians are. I was just like, man, nah, bro, you could have kept that. Like you could have kept that. Like I know that me on my phone thinks that you could have kept that. I can only imagine what the audience thought when you were on stage and live.
Oh, like it was on stage and they like
Yeah, they
posted on
were
Instagram.
right. They're
Oh,
posting
wow.
stand-up clips of undercooked mass shooting jokes. It's just like, come on, man.
How did the crowd react?
It was mad. Like you putting C material online anyway. Stop doing that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it wasn't like they were like, oh my god. They kind of were like, damn, this was yesterday, bro. Like, like
Some people, I feel like that's a thing for men. I think there's a difference between like some people have just kind of very like kind of shocking style where it's like evoke shock or whatever. And some people I feel rely on that where it's like, maybe the material isn't really cooking like that. And it's like I I'm not really able to make people laugh as much as I am able to make them shocked. So I have a lot of people that are just like, oh, we're comedians, or it's like, is that comedy? Are you a performer? I think there's a difference between being a comedian and a performer. You're a performer and you're telling shock.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people fall into that trap. And if it's what they do, it's what they do. But I just don't know if it's the most clever route
Yeah.
for me.
I think is the you think they think it's the easy way out, but it's really not. You know what I mean? Because you can't travel with those shock jokes. You can't get a late night set with those shock jokes. You know what I mean? Like but you think like, oh, I'm getting this immediate reaction, or you do the work.
Yeah, there's communities for it. There's people that do enjoy that. I do think there's more longevity if you make it clever. Like you could be shocking and still funny, like Anthony Jeselnik. You could be hilarious and shocking,
Right.
whatever. It's just I think there's a lot of people that it's just that, or it's like I'm going to say something outrageous or do something outrageous, but there's no identifiable layer of humor.
Yeah.
Which I guess, what is identifiable layer of humor? What is that? But generally speaking, you see that the reactions are pretty consistent with shock and not so much humor.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. I think I'm of the mind that everything is jokeable. Everything can be a joke. There can be funny mass shooting jokes. There could be. You gotta work on them, and you just don't rush it. You know, people like just want to be, like I said, shocked. They want to be the first one. They want to get it off. Like, just work. It's ways to do it. It's ways to do it. You know, I'm not saying I don't have jokes. Like I have a school shooter joke. Like I have one. You know what I mean? I don't tell it every show, but I got one. I'm not saying the things off limits, but you just got to figure out how to, you know what I'm saying? Make it, you know.
It's not like you're not just doing that sort of thing. It's not just that type of joke, and there's a joke to it and there's a point to it.
Right.
Which is kind of what I was saying with the CK and Chappelle thing a little bit. Like there's a point to it, but it really depends on what that point is and how cleverly it's done, or at least how cleverly it's received. So yeah, those are some good goals. Hopefully I get to report my findings. I am genuinely curious. Sometimes I wonder, like, oh man, it'd be cool. Cool is not the right word. Well, maybe, who knows? If I find out, I find out. But it'd be interesting to have more people that I'm close with that are on the right. In terms of online presence, it's mainly people on the left. I have some people from high school that are on the right. It's all the communications. It's mainly memes or what people tweeted, and then it's being reposted. But it's not a lot of like original thought. At least from what I see. So sometimes I'm curious of what that is. You know, I fear the idea of being in an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And I always accept the idea of, oh, maybe I'm not completely right in this. So this is one that I feel pretty intrigued by, and I think it's something that is happening more and more to the point where it's like, it would be nice if something was done at this point. So I'm curious to see what the roadblocks are.
Yeah. It's the what's the thing called? The Constitution. It's the Second Amendment. They love saying that. It's our right. It's our right to bear arms. They love that.
The muskets. Who knows if that Constitution, if they're popping off at AR-15s, I don't know if that would be in the Constitution or not. That is a big one that's quoted. I'll report my findings.
Yeah,
I'm going to a mass event today. I gotta watch out. I'm trying to tear up, have an emotional moment, and someone might pop off.
Yeah, man.
Crazy reality.
I've been thinking about it. Like I went to my daughter's play at her school. You know what I mean? Like I'm in the elementary school. It's like it's a bunch of people here. Like, do I come strapped? Like, well, you know what I mean? Like, what? Yeah, I think about it a lot. Like I said, that's why I literally wasn't online that much. You know what I mean? Because I'm with my daughters. I'm with my children who are this age. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of it's just crazy.
It was sad the idea that for parents, a lot of them, I guess, were trying to get into the school, but were restrained.
Yeah, man. They're saying the cops were sitting outside the school like that. I don't know, man. Like it's.
I don't know. It's for procedure. I'm sure there's procedures and all that stuff, but it's kind of no. I'm not saying that to justify it. I feel like there's probably stuff like that. However, damn, like 90 plus minutes and just the idea of what's going on inside.
Kirk, they seen the shooter before he went in the school.
I heard about that.
He crashed the car outside the school. He said he shot his grandmother.
Yeah.
they were afraid of getting shot. What I don't understand is, y'all, what you think is better? Him standing outside shooting at y'all out in the open, or him going inside of the school with the like, I don't. We all have guns too. Just shoot.
Yeah.
My girl was like, well, maybe he didn't want to shoot inside the school. No. I'll take my chance with that. Then let him go in there
Inside of school. Yeah.
Man. It was just frustrating. Very frustrating, man. Sad. Very, very sad. So, yeah, man.
Fortunate note to end on. Do we have any other topics?
Yeah, no, real quick. Kirk, Pat had commented in a thing. He said that you should, like, comedy reels on Instagram. You should do like crowd work, right?
Oh yeah.
I think that's a good thing. But what I'm seeing now is a lot of comedians realize that crowd work is a good thing to put online. So now what they're doing is they're baiting it. I hate that. I hate crowd work. Like, like, let it happen. Let it happen naturally. Then you got some funny, but don't be like, oh, so what do you do for a living, huh? This your girl? And they're just trying to get that crowd work. It's like, just let it happen naturally, because now it seems awkward. Now they're like, now everybody in the world thinks that this is what comedy shows are.
I know, it's like, oh, they're going to ask us stuff, and we're going to be, that is kind of a downside with the crowd work stuff, because people get more and more encouraged to speak out. It's like, oh, I'm going to help you, kind of with that logic.
Yeah.
And you can really capture magic of crowd work, because it's like, it's instantaneous, it's out of the blue, it wasn't practice. So that part is cool, but I do see and I hear that as well. Like, all right, well, it's just the crowd work now, which is fine. I think there's a lot of comics that are shout out to Manny, one of the best crowd workers that I've seen. As a phenomenal crowd worker comic.
The last show I did with Manny, he absolutely murdered with some crowd work.
Yeah,
but that's because it was natural. It was natural though.
Yeah,
it wasn't like trying to get the video. He didn't even record it. You know what I mean?
There's people that are more inclined to do that, and they're very good at it, and they're conditioned to do it. I think there's also people that aim for having an internet clip or viral moment, which it's fine. I suppose it's not necessarily my style. My last crowd work, no, I did some last night actually. Shout out to Allentown Marketplace. But I did one at in Coatesville. I dabbled in some crowd work, and I don't know what I was thinking. It was going well too, but I asked. There's like two females, like two women, two females. Oh, Pat, cut that out. There's two women.
You knew you were wrong.
Bleep that out. Then if they bleeps it out, I was like, what did he say at that point?
F word.
No, yeah, keep it in. Please keep it in, Pat. Oh my god. So there's two grown women there. And I asked, like, oh, are you two friends? Are you a couple? And then I forgot how awkward that could be for people, and like how often people go on first dates for a comedy show. Because one of the women, she looked over to a friend. Well, no, first she did one of these, like, and then the other friend said, just friends. And then the other one that did this looked over, was like, oh, okay. And I was like, yo, my bad. And then I apologize, got back into, I made it work, got back in set. And then towards the end of the set, I was like, hey, remember a few minutes ago, that whole situation? If you guys, maybe, I don't want to be like a rough situation. I feel bad. Maybe we could end the set with you two holding hands. And for some reason, I thought that was a smooth thing to say. I thought that was a smooth thing to say. Like, oh man, you remember I put you in that awkward position? Make it physical now.
Let's turn it up a notch.
Yeah, that was me trying to smooth things out, not escalate it. But they were like, yeah, we're fine. And we talked a little bit afterwards. So good luck to them, and shout out to them. Hopefully it worked out.
That's so good. Now that should have been recorded.
Yeah. I have the audio. I didn't do the video of it. I felt so bad. Oh gosh,
that is good stuff. I think that's a good note to end on. Kirk and his awkward crowd work.
Oh goodness, that's what I'll start doing now. Awkward crowd work on Instagram. Cool, man. Well, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, you already know what to do. If you made it this far, you probably already subscribed.
Yeah.
I think that's the case. If you made it this far, you subscribed. But why not hit it with a like? Why not share it with a friend?
Share it.
Share it with a friend. It doesn't even have to be like on your page. Just share it with someone that you think would enjoy it or someone that you think would hate it. Do both. But thanks for listening, and always nice to chat with you, man.
Peace.